David Marshall makes his home Premier League debut as Hull City make 3 changes from Anfield. With Ahmed El Mohammadi banned, David Myler steps in just as he did impressively at Anfield last week when he came on. Norwegian midfielder Marcus Henriksen makes his first Premier League start as Tom Huddleston drops down to the bench. And there's a start too for Diomasi Mbakani, who was Norwich City's leading scorer last season. He couldn't keep them up. He's hoping for a different outcome this season. Well, Antonio Conte's had some sleepless nights this week after the Arsenal collapse. He keeps Thibaut Courtois in goal, but Branislav Ivanovic does pay the price for a poor run of form. So Marcus Alonso starts a Premier League game for the first time in Chelsea colours. There is a slight change in Chelsea's formation, with Nemanja Matic dropping a little bit deeper alongside N'Golo Kanté. Victor Moses makes his first Premier League start for Chelsea in 2.5 years, which means Cesc Fabregas is dropped to the Chelsea bench. And Diego Costa has scored both times he set eyes on Hull City. They are in his line of fire again. Abel Hernandez and Tom Huddleston must make do with a place amongst Hull City's substitutes. The bench is where Cesc Fabregas finds himself again. Opening weeks, when against all the odds, they were beating all those before them. Can they hit those heights again? Or will Chelsea once... Snodgrass! Courtois had to readjust. Well, readjust he did, and got a big hand on that.
Well, it looked to me as if the Chelsea goalkeeper actually gone past the ball. He had to readjust himself and go back the other way. It's a brilliant save, brilliant reaction save. And the goalkeepers work so hard in their positioning and their instincts. When a ball...
Mbakani will give chase to this, and David Luiz looked to be caught out.
Oh, for a top-class centre-half, this simply shouldn't be happening. A better first touch here from Mbakani.
Hit into a dangerous area. Victor Moses again, who's seen plenty of the ball in the opening stages, showing nice feet as well. Victor Moses was eventually surrounded and runs out of pitch.
Well, this is why he's in the side. Chelsea need to get the ball to him so he can commit fullbacks, get crosses into the box. Great piece of defensive positioning there from Curtis Davies just to repel the first attack. This Hull defenders just about do enough. They stay on.
There's Willian. Willian did brilliantly to get that yard of space. And fighting dangerously across the face of goal.
Well, it's hard to tell whether this was a shot or was it a cross, but again, he doesn't have to move the ball an awful lot, just opens the angle up for himself and puts his foot through it. I think the ball was moving so fast, there's no way Costa...
Now Myler. Lucas moved on by Henriksen. This is Snodgrass and Mbakani in the middle. Mbakani with the climb just went beyond him to Diomande, who then blocked the shot from his own man. Ryan Mason was right on the scene. Diomande twice involved in this move.
That's a really well-constructed attack. Most importantly, they get the ball wide and get decent service into the box. That means then Ryan Mason can break forward from central midfield, get on the end of things. Just jabs at that first attack.
And Diego Costa's brought it under his spell. And this is Willian, who couldn't quite catch it correctly. But Hull City were opened up. Wonderful play here from Diego Costa.
Well, he's hardly had a touch really in the opening 20 minutes or so. It's just the weight of the pass. There's too much on this, so I can't really blame Willian for not taking this chance, because it's just...
Victor Moses again to try and cause some trouble here. Moses, was he caught? And the referee having...
Well, Chelsea didn't get the penalty they were wanting, but he mixes his game up. Victor Moses goes outside, goes inside. Just think maybe the way he falls, it's slightly exaggerated, slightly theatrical. There did seem to be some contact from Diomande. It does catch him. I think maybe just that exaggerated way he goes to ground makes the referee's mind of it. It's a bit more of a dive. There's certainly contact. You've seen penalties given for a lot less than that.
Where's Victor Moses? Enzo was in the middle, but couldn't really direct his header. To that Hull City back line. Goalless Andy, Mike feeling the happier manager at half-time?
Oh, absolutely. Just looking at
this season. This is Eden Hazard's sparkling run, and David Marshall with a fine save.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, making things happen. We didn't see this from Eden Hazard in the first half. Diomande sells himself here far too easily. Brilliant twist and get away from defenders for Eden Hazard. Again, great balance the way he moves that ball right and left. Very hard for a goalkeeper to know which foot he's going to shoot with, let alone where it's going to end up. It's pretty much at Marshall.
Liverpool stealing in. This now is Ryan Mason. It's Mason! And it almost got through Courtois.
I'm not sure whether this ball moves in the air or dips right at the death. It's pretty much straightforward. Once again, they lose the ball fairly cheaply. Good work from Liverpool. It's a decent strike, but it's right at Courtois. It's coming back towards him as well. So it's a save he should make.
Will they be made to pay this time? Conte has slipped the ball through here beautifully. It's Diego Costa, who's denied by the post. Conte on the follow-up. That's why he's not prolific in front of goal. But Hull City almost the architect of their own downfall, but they haven't been made to pay.
Well, not for the first time. They give the ball away so cheaply here, but Liverpool does the right thing. He recovers and tries to make up for the error he makes by getting back onto the goal line. Doesn't worry about Diego Costa or David Marshall. Gets back on the goal line to protect his goal. Does absolutely brilliantly to get a touch on this to send it onto the post. Well, he certainly does. That is absolutely outstanding. And then Conte will...
He groans around the stadium again because Hull City are guilty of giving the ball away once more. Diego Costa trying to bulldoze his way through. This is Willian. It's Willian! You don't stop that. Class goal from a class player. And Chelsea, who've been on top in this second half, take the lead in this game. They find their voice again.
Well, it is a wonderful finish, but two bits of poor defensive work from Hull City have cost them here. First one is Curtis Davies when he's up against Diego Costa. You've got to take man and ball here. You can't allow Costa to get past you so easily. You lose one challenge in the central area. He's a bit fortunate here, the ricochet for Costa, but this challenge here, Davies has got to be stronger. And then when Willian steps in field onto his right foot, you've got to get closer to him. You know what he's looking to do. You can't allow him just to adjust his body like that, open the angle up for himself. That said, it is a wonderful finish. David Marshall, not a prayer of saving it. That pretty much nothing. Chelsea take the lead, but it's a wonderful finish, pretty much unstoppable. Sitting on the edge of their penalty area, just dealing with wave after wave of Chelsea attack.
It's Diego Costa showing his strength again, and Marshall with the save. And Diego Costa. Nemanja Matic at that near post. Willian looks for Nemanja Matic, who moved the ball on smartly. Marshall down sharply.
That's a decent bit of movement from Matic. He's a giant as well. When he comes off his shoulder or his back, minimal. So it's about what we do, and they need to make things happen, and they've done that in the second half.
Look at the gap here for Nemanja Matic. And now Diego Costa. Well, Chelsea now have this game in the palm of their hand. Broken and criticised last week. Taking care of business this week. And Diego Costa having Hull City in his line of fire again.
Well, this could be pretty much game over. How quickly he takes this opportunity, sizes up exactly where he is in the penalty area. Exactly how to finish this, but it's the parting of the defensive waves here really for Hull City. They just open up completely. Not getting close enough to Matic, but when that breaks the way of Diego Costa, this is what top class international strikers can do. Doesn't need to take a touch, just sets his body up and then punches it into that far corner. Once again, like with the Willian goal, David Marshall absolutely helpless. The game looks beyond Hull now.
Eden Hazard, finally Willian. Back to Hazard, Diego Costa. It's crept through here to Willian, who goes down, has a look. Referee says it was a clean challenge. Lovely intricate football from Chelsea to get in behind Hull City.
Well, Willian did look as though he was clipped there. This is hugely debatable.
Now they get a decision their way. It will be a free kick, but Willian wanting more.
Once again, Eden Hazard just stepping things up, moving that ball farm quicker. Slightly challenge from Curtis Davies. He does actually take the ball. It's that follow through, that left leg catches Willian, but he does initially do. He mixes his game up so well.
Alonso's on the outside here. He's been trapped by Snodgrass. He's delivered the ball into a great area, and Pedro came in but couldn't finish things off.
Well, Andy Robertson is slightly fortunate here because he has no idea where Pedro is. The left back round on the cover. It's caught ball watching here. Pedro makes his move. This could easily have ended up in the back of David Marshall's net. Just about gets enough on this to send it wide.
Well, this was just what Antonio Conte needed, and just what Chelsea needed. After a couple of weeks to forget, Chelsea have steadied themselves. They hit the front here, and they simply did not look back. Willian, lovely finish to make it 1-0. And Diego Costa, who at times was unplayable in the second half, smashed home a finish to make it 2. And that was the end of the game, the end of Hull City. Chelsea have beaten Hull City by 2-0.
This could easily have ended up in the back of David Marshall's net. Just about gets enough on this to send it wide.
Well, this was just what Antonio Conte needed, and just what Chelsea needed. After a couple of weeks to forget, Chelsea have steadied themselves. They hit the frontier and they simply did not look back. Willian, lovely finish to make it 1-0. And Diego Costa, who at times was unplayable in the second half, smashed home a finish to make it 2. And that was the end of the game, the end of Hull City. Chelsea have beaten Hull City by 2-0.